this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Merman K. And Merman K recently asked a question in response to a vlog from 2013, which discussed the idea of crystals or stones changing color and what this would mean. And Merman K's question is, what would it mean if a stone or crystal that you're using spiritually crumbles? And Merman K tells us that he has had this experience where a stone that he was using on his altar suddenly crumbled for no discernible reason. And he would like to know what this might mean. And in answering this, I would start by pointing out that not all stones are carefree. Some of them you have to take particular precautions with. For example, certain stones do not react well with water, and so should not be cleansed with water. So you might want to do a little bit of research about the particular kind of stone that you're talking about. And if you're working with stones a lot, and you're working with some that are perhaps not among the more general stones that people use, you want to make sure that you know if they have any special care requirements. However, generally speaking, that's not an issue. Most stones don't require special care, and they still can have things happen that are physical in character but spiritual in significance. Sometimes they will change color, sometimes they will break for no apparent reason, or they may even crumble. And what does it mean? Well, it can mean, of course, different things depending on what it is, but it always has to do with the energetic relationship between yourself and the stone. If your stone crumbled in the way described, I would say it means that you had used every little bit of everything that it had to offer you, and it had totally fulfilled the character of its relationship to you. There was nothing further it could possibly do, and so it left this plane by crumbling into many little pieces. If you were using a stone, for example, for healing, I would say that meant that you had taken every little bit of healing it could give you. If you were using it for protection, I would say it had given you all the protection it could give. And depending on your circumstance, that might mean that you want to then replace it, or it might mean that the task is accomplished. And that's something you have to judge according to the circumstance and other variables involved, because it can either mean that the stone has been used up in fighting for the task, or that it has in fact completed it. But either way, if your stone crumbles in that way, I would say it has a meaning very similar to what it would mean if it broke, except more so. And that is that it has fulfilled its purpose, and in this case, to the utmost degree. So if your stone has crumbled and it wasn't a stone that required special handling, I would say that it definitely did what it was supposed to do. And if you feel that that task is fully accomplished, that's wonderful. And if you feel there's more to do, then you need to get another stone. But that stone had done all it could. And when we work with stones, it's really a very fascinating, very rewarding thing, because they're all so very different. And there are so very many different kinds of stones available today. Not only are different kinds of stones different from one another, but each individual stone also can have its own characteristics. And when you work with them as a major interest, you can discover all these fascinating things. Also fascinating is how they can react to you. And sometimes they do things like change color, break, or crumble. And it can be a very interesting thing to learn the ins and outs of this. Probably the most unique thing I've ever seen in terms of stones was someone who, as they put it, ate hematite. And I don't mean that in the sense that they consumed it, but rather they would hold the hematite, and after they held it for a certain period of time, it would crumble. And hematite, of course, is a very protective and a very grounding sort of stone. So I would say that person needed a great deal of grounding. Certain stones traditionally were worn specifically in the belief that they would change color if the person were in danger, and they were considered to be protective stones. And so if you were wearing one of those stones for protection and it changed color, you knew you really needed protection. And also the change in color showed that the stone was in fact protecting you from a particular danger. So those would be my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Pray for peace. Pray for love. Pray for stability. Pray for the nation where you live. Pray for the world. The Tarot of Hecate. My 100-card tarot deck, 30 years in the making, finally available to you from witchschoolstore.com. Check out a copy today.